Aloha, you're watching F5 On Demand. I'm Senior Technical Marketing Manager Peter Silva. We're here at the Sands Convention Center at the Venetian in Vegas for AWS reInvent. We're in booth 721. If you're at the show, please come on by and visit us. We have Nathan Pearce, who's now on his 4th video with me this week. Thanks, Nathan, for joining me again.
Thanks, Peter, always a pleasure.
So one of the things you might have heard about is F5 synthesis. So it's our architectural vision for software-defined application services. Some people kind of refer to it as SDN for layers 4 through 7. And there's actually 3 components to synthesis. There's first the high-performance service fabric, which is essentially our platforms and all that. There's also the intelligent orchestration to then orchestrate all of those services.
For agility.
For agility, right? And then the simplified business model. So making sure that customers, yourselves, don't have to necessarily pick and choose which applications get security or optimization. They all can get it. Don't leave any application behind, we say, right?
Correct, yeah.
And then one of the cornerstones, or really the proof points, the customer scenarios for our F5 synthesis are our reference architectures. And if you've been watching over the last couple of days, we've kind of broken out the cloud migration reference architecture, the cloud bursting reference architecture, and today, I'd be cool to just catch up on the cloud federation. Ta-da! Reference architecture. And of course, I got the cloud guy here, Nathan Pearce. So, Cloud Ninja, Nathan Pearce. We got a maybe next tomorrow. We'll have with a little Cloud Ninjas on camera with our t-shirts.
We should.
Yep.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about this cloud federation stuff. So federation is just that ability to identify an individual outside maybe the realm of their authentication scheme, right?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, federation's a term that's been around well before we stole it in the technology industry. We like stealing people's terms and making them our own. But it was originally used around governing bodies, bringing them together and having unity and kind of synchronicity across there. So if we bring this into a technology situation, so let's look at a common kind of business problem. Lots of organizations are taking on software as a service providers because these providers are doing things like CRM systems or HR systems, and because they're very focused in this niche specific area, they can do a much better job than having to manage in-house systems by teams that are running tens, hundreds, thousands of other applications. It's a very attractive model to spin out those services to these SaaS providers, these niche providers who look after those systems very well, who can maintain it 24/7. And then the internal IT departments can go back to focusing on specialist projects, more focused, important solutions that are bespoke to that organization.
Right.
The problem that we have is once you start spinning workloads out into external providers, you start creating identity and access management silos. So internally, I had my database of users and I managed all the access control in that. And now I've got a SaaS provider who has their own identity and access management solution. And I've just got the overhead first of populating that with all of my users. But then I've got role changes. I have to do it internally now and externally. And now you amplify that across lots of different SaaS providers. I mean, most companies have more than one. You might have 7, 10. Imagine how many identities.
Yeah, right. And forget about just the security concern of turning over your user store to some outside entity.
Correct. And so you've got the problem of just time to market, getting a new user populated across how many different systems. But even scarier is how quick can you decommission a user account once they've left. They might be a contractor or a partner or even an employee. I mean, this could be months. Some organizations, years later, people are still able to log into external SaaS providers. So that's your company data. So that's a little bit scary. So there's kind of responsiveness problems here, but there's also security issues. So
it's all distributed. In the old days, right here, one system, boom, he's out. Now you got 9 different tentacles out there where they may or may not exist, that identity.
Correct. So this is a huge problem. So what we've done at F5 is obviously we've used this brilliant SAML protocol. I won't go into detail about that, but security assertion markup language. This allows us to tap into, let's pretend that this is a SaaS provider out here, software as a service. We'll pretend that says SaaS as well. Not the best handwriting this morning. So we've got our SaaS provider out here. This might be a HR system or a CRM system. What we can do is establish a trust relationship into this environment so that the identity itself doesn't exist down here, just the authority to do something with the identity that's managed back internally. So once again, we have a solution here where only one identity is managed, enabled, disabled, given the rights in here, but this can be spread and replicated across many different, SaaS, spelling's not my forte, pictures obviously are, across many different environments. So that's kind of part one, is actually just bringing this unity and synchronicity and security, consistency across it all, managed in one small place. Add to that, though, some of the enhancements that F5 brings to security. So we've been doing access policy management for quite a long time, and we're a leader in this space because we don't just do remote access with usernames and passwords. We don't just do SSL VPN. We add to this extra services like geo-IP location. We shouldn't have users coming from that country, so let's not let them in. Or what about even actually having
mobile networks,
mobile network providers? What if we don't support tablets ourselves, but we want them to be able to get the email? So maybe we do inspection of that device when they log in, and we realize, our technology can see that's a tablet, let's just give them a web front end instead of the normal services. So all this cleverness that we've brought, and the last one I want to mention, multi-factor authentication. If you've taken on a SaaS provider, your security policy inside says we only use multi-factor authentication, but the SaaS provider doesn't support that. What does that mean? Does that mean you cannot take on their services? It shouldn't. Right. Actually, if you run the security through F5's Access Policy Manager in your own environment, you can enforce multi-factor authentication here and all these other services, endpoint inspection, making sure the firewall's turned on the remote device before you allow that connection out to the SaaS provider. Right. So not only have we solved the problem of identity and access management silos, we've even stepped up the level of security that they weren't going to get if they went direct to that connection. So yeah, it's a multi-level solution here. It's not just SAML, it's SAML plus enhanced security.
And then getting that vouch, right? So in a SAML situation, there's the service provider and the identity provider, the IDP and the SP, and these guys would be your service providers because that's where the service lives. And so they would put in the address of this location, and then this location would then go back to the voucher, that identity provider, to say, do you vouch for this guy? Are they okay?
So you can't bypass it and go direct. That's not even possible with this architecture. Right. Yeah. So.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. So I was going to ask you. So clearly, obviously, the benefits are single management and those sorts of things. But what other benefits do customers realize with this?
Reduced management time is an enormous thing, especially with a large organization. So you've got your time to kind of deploy and revoke access, and just synchronize and consistent security, whether it's an internal service or an external service. You bring all those things together, you've collapsed down a lot of time it takes just to manage these systems without losing out on your security integrity.
And then obviously enabling the employees to get to the resources they need to do their job on a daily basis.
From any device, from anywhere in the world. Yeah, definitely.
Always fun talking with you.
Cheers, Peter. Always a pleasure.
So there you have it, a little bit about the Cloud Federation reference architecture as part of our overall synthesis vision. So I got Jeanette behind the camera today. Thanks, Jeanette. For Nathan, I'm Peter, and we're with F5 Networks.